Senior sister, shut up. By Honeyjuice Consort. Chapter 51, This isn't dating. It's just gathering material. What did it feel like to touch a girl's hand? Zhang Miao had no idea. But at this moment, senior sister's small hand was holding his. It was soft, cool, and smooth. After he touched it a few times, it gradually warmed up, becoming like soft cotton soaked in water. Zhang Miao felt his heart about to jump out of his chest, and his entire body was heating up. The hand held by senior sister, along with his entire arm, felt weak and tingly, and half of his body was stiff as though electricity was running through it. Is she about to confess to me? No way, no way. Is senior sister that bold? But didn't she say she wasn't interested in dating? Could it be that the charm I exude all the time is too irresistible even for her? While Zhang Miao's mind was spinning with all kinds of thoughts, Su Huizhou had already withdrawn her hand. Feeling the sudden emptiness in his palm, Zhang Miao subconsciously squeezed it. After he realized that senior sister had already let go, a sense of emptiness washed over him. When he turned to look at senior sister, he was shocked to find her exquisite face suddenly approaching his. Junior brother, are you feeling shy? Su Huizhou asked with a playful smile, her cheeks slightly flushed. She tilted her head and asked, how did it feel? Zhang Miao instinctively took half a step back, leaned his upper body away slightly, and turned his head, still in a daze. Senior sister, what do you mean? His lips felt a little dry, his throat was tight, and his voice was off. If senior sister said she liked him and wanted to date, should he agree or reject her? He had just declared that he didn't want to date. If he agreed, wouldn't that be slapping himself in the face? But if he rejected her? From the corner of his eye, he glanced at senior sister's side profile. The curves of her face, from the delicate outline of her face down to her chin, were flawless. How could he possibly say no? Wouldn't he be struck by lightning? I just said I didn't want to date, but my gorgeous senior sister confessed to me. Should I reject her? Waiting online, very urgent. If Zhang Miao had the time, he really wanted to post this on Zhihu to consult the wisdom of netizens. Unfortunately, time was not on his side, and senior sister had already started speaking. Didn't you say that this novel is very important to you, and you feel that you lack experience? Su Huizhou smiled and clasped her hands behind her back. As a loyal reader of Peach Jam, of course I have to help you gather material. How is it? How did it feel to hold a girl's hand? Hurry up and write down what you just felt. Don't waste my efforts. Zhang Miao stood there with his mouth agape, unable to process what she said. When he finally came back to his senses and realized how self-absorbed his thoughts had just been, he immediately felt embarrassed. But after confirming senior sister's intentions, for some reason, he felt a bit disappointed. Even so, Zhang Miao looked down at his left hand and recalled the vibrant touch of holding hands just now. Only then did he realize that holding hands was actually so magical. Without such personal experience, the hand-holding scenes in his novels had indeed lacked depth. He didn't fully capture this feeling. How is it? Still not enough? Su Huizhou asked, pretending to sound indifferent. But her gaze kept darting to Zhang Miao's left hand, with an unsatisfied expression lingering in her eyes. She teased, wanna try again? Wait. Zhang Miao hurriedly took 2 steps back and distanced himself from senior sister. He felt his heart, which had just settled down, was about to jump out of his chest again. Hey, your reaction makes me very sad. It's not that. Senior sister, Zhang Miao hesitated for a moment before saying, isn't this inappropriate? You know, people shouldn't touch each other casually. Didn't you say you don't plan to date? Are you afraid I'll delay you from finding a girlfriend? No. I just think this might not be good for you. I'm not planning to date either, so what does it matter? Su Huizhou tilted her head, looking innocent. Since neither of us plans to date, and you happen to need material for writing while I want to urge you to release faster, isn't this killing 2 birds with 1 stone? Zhang Miao hesitated, this. It's hard to refuse. He couldn't help glancing at senior sister's fair and soft hand, still reminiscing about the warm sensation from earlier. What should I do? I really want to hold her hand again. Just as this thought crossed his mind, Su Huizhou couldn't hold back any longer. She pursed his lips, turned her head, and quietly moved her hand closer. Soon, the backs of their hands brushed against each other, then separated, and then touched again. Zhang Miao's body immediately stiffened. Every time the back of their hands touched, it felt as though an electric current flowed through him, causing his heart to beat wildly in his chest. Is this what senior sister means? It must be. After all, the hints are so obvious. Wouldn't I look foolish if I didn't take her hand now? Besides, didn't senior sister say it herself? Since neither of us plans to date, in order to get material and write a story that satisfies her, we'll just hold hands. Yes, that's right. This is for material. It's all for my dear and cute readers that I'm willing to make a sacrifice and offer my first time holding hands with the opposite sex as an adult. Anyway, it's already my first time. It doesn't matter if I do it again, right? Since senior sister doesn't mind, why should I mind? It's not like we're really dating. It's just gathering material. Zhang Miao repeatedly reassured and hypnotized himself in his mind. After a long time, he finally mustered his courage and grasped senior sister's delicate hand with his left hand. As soon as her hand was held, Su Huizhou trembled slightly. Her moist eyes blinked uneasily several times, and her beautiful eyelashes fluttered in sync with her nervous mood. The two of them were walking on a stone path in the grove and lawn in front of the library, with few people around. Zhang Miao held senior sister's hand, holding his breath, his body stiff, and walked forward step by step. The previous sensation passed straight from his palm to his brain. It was soft, gentle, and even temptingly elastic when gently squeezed. Is this what it feels like to hold a girl's hand? Zhang Miao felt a bit dizzy. He suddenly looked up and found that the dark clouds had cleared, and warm sunlight was streaming through the gaps in the clouds and caressing the treetops. Flecks of golden light sprinkled down through the gaps of the leaves, falling to the ground, onto Zhang Miao, onto senior sister's exquisite and charming face. As he glanced at the side of her face again, amid the shifting light and shadows, he sensed the fragrance of romance from her slightly pursed lips. He was tempted to savor it. But the next moment, they exited the stone path and reached the spacious asphalt path. All of a sudden, students walking or cycling passed by them. Although not many eyes stopped on this couple, Zhang Miao and Su Huizhou still let go of each other's hands in a panic as though they had been caught having an affair. How was it? Su Huizhou adjusted her breathing and tone, trying her best to sound composed as she asked, "Did you remember the feeling?" Zhang Miao's heart was pounding. Yeah. It's over. My mind is blank. I don't remember anything. Chapter 52, Peach Jam or whatever, I don't like him at all. A gentle breeze blew past, bringing a cool sensation to Zhang Miao's palm. He then realized that his palm was slick with sweat. He didn't know if it was just his or if senior sister's hand was also sweaty. He clenched his fists and glanced around at the students passing, reminiscing about the feeling just now while feeling that everyone around was looking at him. Well, maybe he was just feeling guilty. Even though Zhang Miao seemed to have gotten closer to senior sister, he didn't know what to say in this atmosphere. Why aren't you saying anything? Su Huizhou tucked a few strands of hair behind her ear with her right hand to hide the blush on her cheeks. Don't tell me you're still reminiscing. And no. Zhang Miao's heart skipped a beat. He didn't dare to look at senior sister, feeling that she was like a roundworm in his stomach and could see right through his thoughts. So, do you think it's useful? Su Huizhou continued. Is it useful material for you? Yes, it is. Although Zhang Miao's mind was indeed blank when they held hands, if he deliberately recalled it, he could indeed summarize the feeling of holding a girl's hand. It was much better than when he held his left and right hands together and imagined the sensation to describe the male and female leads holding hands. Thinking about it this way, I was really pitiful before. If he encountered difficult scenes to write in the future, he could just experiment with senior sister for material. The quality of his novel might really reach another level. But then again, Zhang Miao turned to look at senior sister and felt it would be very impolite to treat her as a tool. Don't think too much about it. Su Huizhou, seemingly having a mind-reading spell specific to Zhang Miao, turned her head and smiled at him. I'm just urging you to release. If you want to repay me, then write well. Got it. Zhang Miao pondered while walking out of the school gate with senior sister and heading towards Xiaoya Commons. After clearing his mind and calming down a bit, he said sincerely, Senior sister, I still think this is. Before he could finish, he felt his hand being held again. Choking on his words, he looked down at their hands tightly clasped together again, unsure how to continue. I think Peach Jam is very brave, Su Huizhou said, her usual teasing smile replaced with a serious expression as she looked at Zhang Miao. It's really impressive to make such a decision in high school. But still, Zhang Miao felt the warmth and softness of her hand in his and was reluctant to part with it, but he still said, "It's not fair to you." "In what way is it not fair?" Pretending to be a couple is not fair to the girl." "Hey!" Su Huizhou instinctively wanted to smooth her hair, but as soon as she was about to move her right hand, she remembered that Zhang Miao was still holding it. Her cheeks flushed slightly, but she still said assertively, "Junior brother, your thinking is quite traditional. Hey! You think that when a guy and a girl have physical contact, the girl is the one losing out." Su Huizhou's gaze drifted to the horizon, not daring to meet Zhang Miao's eyes. "But from my perspective, who knows who's taking advantage of whom? Zhang Miao. Why does it feel like she's teasing me?" He couldn't find any words to refute, so the two of them fell silent. Yet their hands remained clasped. Su Huizhou didn't pull away. And Zhang Miao didn't let go. The two of them continued walking hand in hand like a couple in love for the first time, both shy and nervous, eager and silent. It wasn't until the entrance of dormitory building 30 was right in front of them that they suddenly snapped back to reality. Their hands released. Both were sweaty. Fortunately, they hadn't bumped into anyone they knew on the way. Otherwise, Zhang Miao wouldn't have been able to clear his name even if he jumped into the Qiantang River. "So, it's settled then." Su Huizhou looked at Zhang Miao, her smile brightening under the sunlight. "From today onwards, I'm your pretend girlfriend." Zhang Miao opened his mouth. Logic told him he should refuse. But for some reason, he nodded. It was as though he had been possessed and lost control of his body. By the time he returned to his senses, senior sister had already reached the stairs on the first floor. She smiled and waved at him before disappearing around the corner. Zhang Miao stared blankly at the stairs and then looked down at his left hand, not knowing how he had even made it back to his dorm room. He climbed onto his bed and lay down, his mind still in a mess. He felt that what had happened today was surreal. This kind of scenario that should only exist in novels actually happened to him. Zhang Miao raised his left hand and moved it closer but stopped halfway. After thinking about it, he pulled the bed curtain shut, then finally brought his left hand to the tip of his nose and gently sniffed. Damn it, so perverted. But it didn't really smell like anything. It was just the normal scent of sweat on his hand. But when he thought about how senior sister's hand had been in his hand just now, he seemed to smell a sweet scent. It's over. Zhang Miao covered his face with a pillow. He felt like he was really turning into a pervert. But after he calmed down and reflected on the experience earlier, his expression gradually settled into one of quiet contemplation. Then he suddenly flipped over, got up in bed, and opened his laptop. Inspiration was flowing like a fountain. Writing software. Open. Meanwhile, in room 611 of Building 30. Su Huizhou flopped onto her bed, hugged her blanket tightly, and let out a series of muffled, embarrassed sounds. Her face was blushing with uncontrollable shyness as she rolled back and forth, releasing all the accumulated emotions from the walk back. After she finally exhausted herself, she lay on her back, staring at the pink bed curtains above her, slowly replaying the outrageous things she had done today. I really did it. Pretending to be his girlfriend. You once said that you could prepare for exams by doing homework, but not when it came to love. Didn't I just prove otherwise? Thinking of this, Su Huizhou couldn't stop her lips from curling up, smiling proudly and shyly. Realizing she was smiling too much, she quickly covered her mouth. But the next second, she remembered that the right hand covering her mouth was the same one that had held junior brother's hand earlier. Su Huizhou's small nose twitched. There's no smell. Realizing what she was doing, she blushed again, grabbed her blanket, and banged her head against it. What on earth are you doing, Su Huizhou? This is too perverted. Ah! It's all Yu's fault. If she hadn't talked nonsense these past 2 days, I definitely wouldn't have done something so ridiculous. But she didn't regret it at all. In fact, she was even very happy. Su Huizhou reached out to remove her hairband, letting her ponytail unravel. Her silk hair spread out messily across her bed. Her lips, reddened from being bitten, were slightly parted, and her eyes glistened with a soft, watery sheen. She turned to her side and reached into her pocket to take out her phone. The soft glow shone on her flushed cheeks. She opened QQ, where the pinned chat was with Peach Jam. Then she opened WeChat, where the pinned chat was with Meow Meow is deep in thought. Biting her lip, Su Huizhou placed her phone on her full chest as her mind wandered silently. Am I just grateful to Peach Jam for the support back then, or have I really developed improper feelings for junior brother? She decided to test it. If junior brother could really make her heart flutter, then maybe dating wasn't so impossible. Blushing, Su Huizhou buried her face in her blanket and made up her mind. She mustered her courage, picked up her phone, and opened her WeChat with junior brother. Jojo loves kanji, junior brother, want to have dinner together? 10 minutes later, a reply came. Meow Meow is deep in thought, sorry, senior sister. I'm in the middle of writing. Meow Meow is deep in thought, inspiration struck, and I'm afraid I'll forget if I don't write it down now. As Su Huizhou read the message, she gritted her teeth. Annoyed, she threw her phone onto her bed. With a huff, she pressed her white sock-clad foot on junior brother's profile picture. Peach Jam or whatever. I don't like him at all. Chapter 53, I'm going to sleep good night, junior brother. It wasn't until 6 in the evening that Zhang Miao finished writing. In about an hour, he had written just over 2,000 words. For someone like him who wasn't a fast writer, this efficiency was extremely high. Zhang Miao was surprised by how much he managed to write. So, just holding hands has such a good effect? He looked down at his left hand. If I can hold hands once a day, won't I be able to transform into writing jam? At this moment, his phone vibrated. Jojo loves kanji, are you done? I'm starving. Meow Meow is deep in thought, haven't you eaten yet? Jojo loves kanji, I'm waiting for you. Zhang Miao immediately felt a bit embarrassed. Meow Meow is deep in thought, you didn't have to wait for me. Jojo loves kanji, as your girlfriend, it's the least I can do. Meow Meow is deep in thought. Senior sister, it's just pretend. Jojo loves kanji, the essence of pretending is making it seem real. If you keep thinking this is fake, how can the effect of gathering material turn out well? Jojo loves kanji, comrade, your awareness needs improvement. You have to work harder, understand? Zhang Miao. What senior sister said made so much sense that he couldn't even argue. But if pretending became indistinguishable from the real thing, what was the difference between the two? Jojo loves kanji, so, are you done? Come downstairs for dinner. Meow Meow is deep in thought, almost. I still have about 1,000 words left. I'll release one chapter first and write the rest when I get back. Jojo loves kanji, 2,000 words in one go. So fierce today? Jojo loves kanji, so the material was pretty useful, hey? Meow Meow is deep in thought, I guess. Jojo loves kanji, it's good that it's useful. Hurry up and come downstairs. Meow Meow is deep in thought, okay, coming. After turning off his laptop, Zhang Miao tidied up his desk, grabbed his phone, and headed out of the dorm room. While walking on the stairs, he couldn't control his hand when he thought about how senior sister had become his girlfriend and he might even have a chance to hold her hand later. Even though it was just pretend. But senior sister had said it herself, in order to get material, they had to blur the lines between real and false. Yes, everything is for the sake of material. Zhang Miao reminded himself. They weren't actually dating, and this wasn't a romantic relationship. It was just like doing homework wasn't the same as taking an exam, and reviewing wasn't the same as doing homework. What they were doing was, at best, simulating a relationship. It wasn't the real thing. But Zhang Miao still felt that something was off. Peach Jam, boss, can I ask you a question? Kanji boss, what's up? Peach Jam, if a very, very beautiful girl offered to pretend to be my girlfriend to help me get material, do you think it's normal? Kanji boss? Kanji boss, I think your brain isn't normal. Kanji boss, have you lost your mind from writing too much? Peach Jam, no. I'm just asking. The entire situation of senior sister volunteering to pretend to be his girlfriend was too bizarre. No one would believe it. But telling Kanji boss would be an invasion of her privacy. So he could only keep his question vague. Kanji boss, who has nothing better to do that they'd help you get material. You should be grateful that no one's chasing you down with a kitchen knife to get you to release faster. Peach Jam, but what if there really is someone? Kanji boss, then there's definitely an ulterior motive. Maybe she's after your body. Peach Jam. Peach jam, forget it. Pretend I never asked. Zhang Miao put his phone away and descended the stairs to the first floor. Boss was indeed unreliable. He even talked about someone wanting his body. If senior sister really had her sights on his body, she could just throw herself at him, and he wouldn't be able to resist. There was no need for a roundabout tactic. Forget it. Zhang Miao shook his head. I'll just take things one step at a time. With this thought in mind, he walked out of Building 31 and saw senior sister walking out of Building 30. She was wearing the same outfit from the afternoon, a black t-shirt tucked into cropped pants. Her slender waist, reminiscent of a valley, made him uncontrollably want to follow the incline up to the peak. This had to be an instinctual drive in human genes, an obsession for people to climb. It wasn't his problem alone. At least that was what Zhang Miao thought. After gathering downstairs, he deliberately maintained a distance from senior sister to prevent her from throwing another curve ball at him and holding his hand. Although he was eager to gather more material, doing so in Xiaoya Commons, especially at the entrance of Building 31, would be too easy for his classmates to spot him. Even though, so far, he could barely recognize 10 of his classmates. But according to Sun Liang's reliable information, it seemed that a surprising number of girls recognized him. Okay. Being too handsome was indeed a problem. Zhang Miao had grown used to it since childhood. Junior brother, why does it feel like you're afraid of me? Su Huizhou noticed his behavior and turned to him with a playful smile. He cleared his throat and suggested, Senior sister, I think it's best if we try not to let others discover our current relationship. After all, we're just pretending. In the future. I know, Su Huizhou interrupted. Smiling, she tilted her head. Have you noticed? You're always thinking for me like this. It's really charming. Being struck in the heart by senior sister's attack, Zhang Miao was immediately rendered speechless. He turned his head to avoid her gaze and looked at the flowers and plants by the roadside. Finally, they arrived at the cafeteria. After getting their food, he followed her to a corner to sit down. As they ate, they chatted about classes, this week's debate topic, and even his book. How many reading lists are you at now? Su Huizhou asked curiously. 17,000. So fast. Su Huizhou exclaimed in surprise. I remember you just hit the 10,000 milestone last weekend, right? On the details page of Zidian novels, there was a button in the lower left corner of the cover that linked to badges of milestones and achievements. Clicking on it let people view the badges of milestones and achievements of the novel. 10,000 reading lists was one of the milestones. Unexpectedly, on the third day of category spotlight, the number of reading lists for Zhang Miao's novel went from just over 10,000 to 17,000. It mainly increased on the first 2 days, Zhang Miao explained. With the boost from similar works recommendations, it increased by about 5,500 in 2 days. The effect in the following 3 or 4 days won't be as good. That's still really impressive. Su Huizhou smiled, clearly more excited than Zhang Miao. She picked up a piece of stir-fried pork with her chopsticks and placed it on his plate. Here, your reward. Zhang Miao looked down at the stir-fried pork on his plate and then at senior sister, who was resting her chin on her hand and waiting for him to eat. He said hesitantly. Senior sister. We're a couple now. Don't forget. Her words silenced him, and his gaze landed on the tempting piece of stir-fried pork. Even though the school's stir-fried pork tasted ordinary and looked average, this piece of pork was different. Senior sister had placed it on his plate with her chopsticks. And those chopsticks? Zhang Miao's gaze landed on senior sister again and saw her picking up another piece of stir-fried pork and putting it into her mouth. The tip of her chopsticks lingered on her rosy lips, lightly pressed between them. He could imagine the scene of her pink tongue entwined with the chopsticks. With this thought in mind, Zhang Miao carefully picked up the piece of stir-fried pork in front of him with his chopsticks and put it into his mouth under senior sister's smiling gaze. How is it? This is my favorite stir-fried pork. It's okay. In fact, the taste was very ordinary, but the thought that it might have some of senior sister's. He felt a strange emotion rise uncontrollably. Is this an indirect kiss? Zhang Miao chewed slowly, reluctant to swallow. But chewing for too long would seem strange, so he finally gulped it down. So, what should you be doing now? Su Huizhou hinted when he saw him finish swallowing. Hey! Zhang Miao was stunned. Ever since senior sister held his hand in the afternoon, his brain had been a little scrambled. Ahem, her eyes drifted to his plate as she whispered, I feel like eating chicken. If Zhang Miao still didn't understand, he might as well find a piece of tofu to bang his head against it until death. His gaze fell on his plate, which had 2 dishes, stir-fried chicken with vegetables and winter melon, corn, and spare ribs soup. Senior sister's meaning couldn't be clearer. Zhang Miao gulped, picked up his chopsticks, and lifted a piece of chicken. Then he quickly glanced around from the corner of his eye to make sure no one was paying attention to them. Only after confirming this did he continue to move the piece of chicken to senior sister's plate. But just as Zhang Miao thought the matter was about to end, Su Huizhou smiled slyly and leaned her head forward towards the chopsticks. Before he could react, she opened her mouth, said ah, and bit the piece of chicken. Zhang Miao! Whoa! He nearly jumped out of his seat. The force from senior sister's mouth passed through the chopsticks to his hand. When he returned to his senses, she had already chewed and swallowed the chicken, looking satisfied. Zhang Miao watched senior sister eat with relish and then silently lowered his head and stared at his chopsticks. The bright incandescent lights in the cafeteria illuminated the tips of his chopsticks, reflecting a glistening arc of moisture. He didn't know if it was his own, the chicken oil, or senior sister's. Damn it, I can't keep thinking about this. Zhang Miao adjusted his sitting posture and buried his head to continue eating, determined to finish his dinner as soon as possible. Otherwise, he felt that senior sister would eat him. So, how was it? Su Huizhou asked like a teacher quizzing a student. What did you feel just now? Have you noted it down? Zhang Miao. Nothing. Su Huizhou tilted her head. In TV dramas, when girls do this, boys will be moved, right? Was I too sudden? Maybe we should try it again. Zhang Miao opened his mouth, reason telling him to refuse. But he really wanted to agree. What should I do? What else could he do? It's just for material. Doing it one more time won't hurt, right? Then, let's try it again. Zhang Miao cautiously probed. Okay, sure. Su Huizhou was interested. She giggled, picked up a piece of stir-fried pork, and brought it to Zhang Miao's mouth. Okay, open your mouth. Ah! Zhang Miao. Wait. Isn't there something wrong with this situation? Looking down at the stir-fried pork near his mouth, he felt his scalp tingle, and it seemed his curling toes were about to tear through the solace of his shoes. Junior brother, my arm is getting tired from holding the chopsticks, Su Huizhou urged with a teasing smile. She said mischievously, and if you don't eat it soon, the people around us might start noticing. With her reminder, Zhang Miao finally snapped out of it. He closed his eyes, opened them again, and bit down on the stir-fried pork. However, afraid of being disliked, he carefully avoided touching senior sister's chopsticks and only bit down on the stir-fried pork, making sure his lips didn't come into contact with the chopsticks. How was it this time? Su Huizhou asked curiously, resting her chin on her hand. Did you feel anything? Yes, I did. Zhang Miao quickly nodded, afraid she might come up with something else. If something like this happened a few more times, his poor heart would really not be able to take it. A few minutes later, the two finally finished their meal. Zhang Miao claimed he needed to get back to writing, quickly said goodbye to senior sister, and hurried back. Su Huizhou stood at the entrance of the dormitory building and watched Zhang Miao's retreating figure. She stroked the corner of her lips thoughtfully, lost in thought as though she was still savoring something. After returning to her senses, she smiled and walked briskly into the dormitory building with her hands behind her back. Her ponytail bounced back and forth, echoing her current mood. 12:30 a.m. Zhang Miao lay in bed, opened his eyes, and sighed. Every time he closed his eyes, he could vividly recall the feeling of holding hands with senior sister in the afternoon and the scene of them feeding each other in the evening. I can't sleep at all. Forget it. I'll just read a novel for material. He read until 1 a.m. He glanced at the time and felt it was time to sleep. But he wanted to read a bit more. Just 5 more minutes, and then I'll sleep. It's only 5 minutes. It won't matter if I sleep 5 minutes later. Therefore, Zhang Miao was still awake at 1:30. He had only slept at 2 o'clock yesterday. If he slept now, he might not be able to sleep right away. In any case, he had already stayed up this late, so what was another half an hour? And so, he continued reading until his eyelids grew heavy, and then his phone slipped out of her hand and hit his face, jolting him awake. He looked at the time. 2:10 a.m. It was much later than he realized. Sleep. Sleep. But the next second, his phone vibrated. Zhang Miao hesitated and looked at his phone to see a message from senior sister. He instantly felt energetic and wasn't sleepy anymore. Jojo loves kanji, voice message. It was a 3-second voice message. Zhang Miao was about to play it, but then he remembered he was in the dorm room. He fumbled around the bed for a while but couldn't find his earphones. They seemed to be on the desk below. So Zhang Miao decided not to sleep and quietly climbed down from his loft bed. He pretended to go to the bathroom and locked the door after entering. He played the voice message. Voice message, I'm going to sleep, good night, junior brother. Maybe because Su Huizhou was secretly sending a voice message in bed, her voice was very soft. So to Zhang Miao, senior sister's voice seemed to have an extra layer of sweetness and tenderness. For some reason, he replayed it several times. It felt a bit addictive. Finally, he hesitated, paced back and forth in the bathroom, pressed the voice button, and then cancelled it. He recorded several snippets such as good night, senior sister, and yeah, I'm going to sleep too. Good night, senior sister, and listened to them several times. After confirming that there was nothing wrong with the voice and content, he mustered his courage, opened WeChat, and pressed the voice message button. But as soon as he opened his mouth, he stumbled over his words. GG good night, senior sister. The message was already sent before he could cancel it. Just as he was about to withdraw it, he saw that senior sister had already replied at the speed of light. Jojo loves kanji, okay. Sleep early, junior brother. Fuck. Zhang Miao hit his head against the wall. He wanted to die. But he still quickly replied. Miao Miao is deep in thought, yeah, you too, senior sister. Chapter 54, Are You Not Full? September 20th, Saturday, sunny. For 3 or 4 days, Zhang Miao didn't meet senior sister much. The only exception was the debate team's mock debate on Thursday, where he had shown up for a short time before leaving to play in a basketball game. So there hadn't been much time to gather material with senior sister these past few days. The main reason was a lack of time. Su Huizhou, in her second year, had a packed schedule. Even if she had some free time, it was taken up by the debate team, the youth association, or working on art commissions. As a result, most of their interactions were limited to brief chats on WeChat. As for Zhang Miao, even though he didn't have many classes, he still had to write every day. With a minimum of 3,000 words, it took him at least 2 hours to write, but it usually ended up being 3 to 4 hours. Factoring in this time, his schedule wasn't much different from a full course load. At best, his time was a bit more flexible. But actively seeking out senior sister for material would be too shameless. He really couldn't bring himself to do it. But on Saturday, the situation changed. Jojo loves kanji, are you awake? Jojo loves kanji, hurry up. We agreed on this. Jojo loves kanji, if you don't get up, I'll go upstairs to find you. Early in the morning, Zhang Miao was woken up by his phone vibrating. He groggily reached for his phone and saw the messages from senior sister. He glanced at the time and couldn't help covering his face. Miao Miao is deep in thought, senior sister, it's only 6:30. Miao Miao is deep in thought, didn't we agree to meet at 8? Jojo loves kanji, yes, but you have to prepare properly for a date. Plus, we need to have breakfast. Time is tight. Zhang Miao. Miao Miao is deep in thought, I don't need to put on makeup. Jojo loves kanji, but you still need to shave, wash your face with cleanser, style your hair, and pick the right outfit. There are so many things to do. Miao Miao is deep in thought, I think you have some misunderstandings about how guys get ready before going out. Miao Miao is deep in thought, besides, aren't we just going to be wingmen for senior sister Shen and senior Zhang? Jojo loves kanji, that was before. Now, the plan has changed. Apart from being wingmen, we have to get material for you. Miao Miao is deep in thought. Miao Miao is deep in thought, wait. Senior sister, there's a problem. Jojo loves kanji, what? Miao Miao is deep in thought, didn't we agree not to let anyone know? What if we hold hands and they see us? What should we do then? Jojo loves kanji, so we just make sure we don't get caught. Jojo loves kanji, besides, Aren't you working on that plot line? JoJo Loves Kanji, you know, the one where the female lead plans to go home and record a video with the male lead of their parents' reaction when they reveal their relationship. But in fact, both moms already know. JoJo Loves Kanji, today's a good chance for you to experience what it feels like to hide a relationship. Zhang Miao sat on his bed, silently looking at the message from senior sister, unable to come up with a response. What should I do? What senior sister said makes sense. How can I reject her? Of course, I can only agree. After all, it's just for material. Meow Meow is deep in thought, then we have to be careful. If there's any chance we're discovered, we absolutely can't hold hands. JoJo Loves Kanji, don't worry. One is socially anxious, and the other is afraid of girls. There's no way their attention will be on us. I hope so. Zhang Miao sighed but soon felt a surge of excitement. The thought of holding senior sister's soft and tender hand again made him feel wide awake. He turned over, climbed down from this bed, and went to the bathroom to wash up. Even though it was only 6:30 am, Chen Househang and Wang Xin were already gone. One of his roommates went out every day without anyone knowing where, while the other went religiously to the library every weekend. As for Sun Liang, he had completely given in to laziness. Now, except for attending morning classes, he basically slept until 8 or 9 every morning. Brother Zhang. When Zhang Miao came out of the bathroom after washing up, he saw Sun Liang poking his head out in a daze from his loft bed. Why are you up so early? Isn't it Saturday? I have some stuff to do. I'll be back tonight, Zhang Miao replied while giving his face a quick shave. Then he grabbed a clean white t-shirt and a pair of loose camouflage pants with many pockets from his wardrobe. Sun Liang immediately became fully awake. His dog food radar found something unusual. Brother Zhang, I have a question. You woke up so early on the weekend. Are you going on a date? You're thinking too much. Zhang Miao shook his head. Was he going on a date? No. He was going to gather material. How could gathering material be called a date? How boring. Sun Liang shook his head and lay back down. Brother Zhang, you have to work harder and quickly bring back senior sister. Senior sister and I. Yet. Sun Liang imitated Zhang Miao's tone and shouted, Senior sister and I don't have that kind of relationship. Screw you. Zhang Miao jumped up and aimed a playful slap at him, but Sun Liang dodged nimbly. Feeling guilty, hey. Sun Liang hooted and laughed. Brother Zhang, why are you so shy? If you're pursuing a girl, you should strike when it's time. Especially with your looks, don't waste your face. Get lost. Zhang Miao couldn't be bothered with him. He tidied his collar, grabbed his phone, and left. Meow Meow is deep in thought, Senior sister, I'm on my way. How long will you take? JoJo Loves Kanji, almost ready. You go to the cafeteria first. Meow Meow is deep in thought, what would you like to eat? I'll get it for you. JoJo Loves Kanji, just a bowl of kanji with some pickled vegetables. Meow Meow is deep in thought, okay. What about senior sister Shen? JoJo Loves Kanji, don't worry about her. Let Zhang Panfan deal with it. At around 7 o'clock, Zhang Miao finished breakfast, and Su Huizhou and Shen Yu finally arrived. At this moment, Zhang Panfan also arrived and bought breakfast for Shen Yu. The four of them sat around a table and discussed their plans while eating breakfast. Zhang Miao, being the youngest, quietly listened to the arrangements. He had already finished breakfast but was too shy to look at his phone in front of the three seniors, so he could only watch senior sister eat her kanji. Su Huizhou had light makeup on today, with light-colored lip gloss on her lips, making her look even more exquisite and charming. But what truly captivated Zhang Miao was that senior sister had let her long hair down. Usually, she had a high ponytail, giving her a refreshing and energetic look. But today, with her black, silk-like hair cascading over her shoulders, paired with her delicate makeup and the beauty mark at the corner of her eye, she looked even more alluring and graceful. Even the line of white on her upper lip from eating kanji looked endearing and tempting, leaving Zhang Miao in a daze. Junior brother, are you not full? Su Huizhou noticed his gaze and asked with a smile, do you want some? Zhang Miao instinctively avoided her gaze and quickly declined, no, thank you, senior sister. Chapter 55, Just a moment. Su Huizhou had put a lot of effort into her appearance today. Not only had she put on light makeup, but she had even changed her usual dressing style, opting for a white spaghetti strap dress paired with a sheer gauze shawl. After finishing breakfast, the four of them left the cafeteria together. Shen Yu and Zhang Panfan walked in front, while Su Huizhou and Zhang Miao followed behind. Looking at senior sister in her white dress and her slender and fair calves peeking out from the hem from time to time, Zhang Miao's gaze became somewhat fixed. Although she was always charming, he didn't feel much before because she was usually dressed in neutral outfits. But today, her sudden change in appearance gave him a considerable impact. How is it? Su Huizhou, with her beautiful hair styled, looked ahead and blinked, not daring to look at Zhang Miao. Her expression was slightly unnatural. Is my outfit okay? She rarely wore dresses or let her hair down. The former was because she wasn't used to the feeling of being so exposed, and the latter was because it felt too hot when her hair was loose. But for today's date, she had made a few small concessions. You look great. Countless people had praised Su Huizhou's appearance since she was a child, but it was only at this moment that she couldn't stop the corners of her lips from rising. Fortunately, she managed to keep her lips pressed together and didn't reveal the joy in her heart. Otherwise, it would be quite embarrassing. Su Huizhou looked at the two irksome figures walking in front and approached Zhang Miao to ask softly, then, do you want to try now? Before he could say no, he felt the back of his hand brush against hers, and the long-forgotten electric shock instantly spread throughout his body. Wait. Senior sister, Zhang Miao hurriedly said. We're still near the dorms. Can we wait until we're away? Okay. Su Huizhou was a little disappointed, but she hid it well and smiled. Junior brother, you're a bit timid. Ahem. It's called being cautious. Although Zhang Miao really wanted to touch senior sister's hand right now, his rationality still had the upper hand, keeping his inner desires in check. After they walked out of Ziyuya Commons, Su Huizhou started typing rapidly on her phone. Senior sister, what are you doing? Talking to Shen Yu, Su Huizhou said without looking up, focused on typing. With those two acting like that, I can only use WeChat to communicate. Zhang Miao looked at the two seniors in front and smiled helplessly. Come to think of it, aside from seeing senior Zhang Panfan stammering a few words during breakfast, he hadn't really noticed much interaction between the two. Is it really useful to let them go on a date like this? Zhang Panfan just called a taxi, Su Huizhou said. Let's take it to the subway station and then head to Sky Street. Zhang Miao nodded. Anyway, he was only here to gather material, so he didn't mind what the arrangements were. 2 minutes later, the taxi arrived at the side of the road. Shen Yu opened the door and was the first to sit in the back. Su Huizhou, still mindful of today's secondary task, glanced at Zhang Panfan and signaled him with a nudge of her chin. However, he hesitated for a few seconds before finally opening the door of the front passenger seat, not daring to sit beside Shen Yu. Su Huizhou. Zhang Miao. Senior, even when given the opportunity, you're beyond hope, Zhang complained inwardly, but the next second, he felt his hand being grabbed. Then let's sit in the back. Su Huizhou smiled mischievously and pulled him into the back seat. Thus, the seating arrangement in the taxi became driver plus Zhang Panfan, Shen Yu, Su Huizhou and Zhang Miao. After getting into the taxi, Su Huizhou's and Zhang Miao's hands didn't separate. With Zhang Panfan sitting in the front passenger seat and Shen Yu sitting beside Su Huizhou with her head lowered, the two of them were safely concealed in the back seat. It was well within Zhang Miao's safety line, so he no longer resisted holding hands. It's just for material, just for material. With this thought in mind, he focused all his attention on his hand. Previously, on Tuesday, his mind had been a total blank, and he hadn't paid any attention to feeling the warmth and softness of senior sister's hand. Now, in the taxi, the two odd seniors were silent, and the driver was not chatty, so the only sound was the car moving. Zhang Miao held senior sister's hand, his heart racing. He looked out of the window, not daring to turn his head and look at her. The thought that senior Zhang Panfan, senior sister Shen Yu, and the unknown driver were within arm's reach made Zhang Miao feel his blood surging through his body. What followed was a tingling sensation and a feeling of weakness. It felt as though his entire body was unable to exert any strength. But after holding senior sister's hand for a while, Zhang Miao still couldn't resist and secretly, gently, bit by bit, started to caress her smooth and soft hand. Junior brother, does it feel good? Su Huizhou leaned over and whispered into Zhang Miao's ear. I put hand cream on. Being attacked by her warm and moist breath against his ear made him shudder and almost let out a sound. He turned to look at senior sister and was about to say something when he quickly turned back the next second. So close. Too close. His entire attention had been on their hands just now, and he hadn't even noticed that the two of them were sitting so close that their bodies were practically touching. In fact, when senior sister moved over, Zhang Miao could feel the weight of her leaning over. Senior sister, we're too close, Zhang Miao whispered. Senior sister Shen Yu is right beside us. Don't worry. She doesn't dare to look over, Su Huizhou whispered into his ear. How is it? Are you getting good material? Yet. Zhang Miao nodded with difficulty, unable to form a coherent response. Her body, her voice, her breath, her hand, and even her scent, everything about her enveloped him. In the cramped back seat of the taxi, there was no room for him to escape. But then again, why would he want to? Clearly, this is quite good. It's just for gathering material. Just for gathering material. For gathering material. Zhang Miao was like Tang monk trapped in the kingdom of women, desperately reciting Buddhist scriptures in his mind over and over to keep stray thoughts at bay. But his situation was far more challenging than Tang Santang's. Not only did he have to maintain his composure, but he even had to hold senior sister's delicate hand and complete his task of gathering material. The scriptures that Tang monk wanted to obtain weren't from the queen of the kingdom of women. But all the material that Zhang Miao wanted relied on senior sister. It's just holding hands. It's nothing serious. He forced himself to stay calm and kept his gaze fixed outside the window, using the scenery to distract himself. But when they were a couple of intersections away from the subway station, senior sister pulled his hand again. By the time he reacted, his hand was already resting on the hem of her dress. The firmness of her thigh was conveyed through the fabric to his palm. Zhang Miao. Don't move, Su Hui's whose originally calm tone now had a hint of shyness as she whispered into Zhang Miao's ear, just a moment. A moment is too long. Zhang Miao's heart was beating wildly, and he felt that the air in the taxi was becoming thin. Chapter 56, Are you two wingmen? No, we're the wingmen. I am studying, how is it? Can you see anything? I love studying, I can only see junior brother's face in the rear-view mirror. He looks pretty nervous. I am studying, what good are you then? Use your phone's camera to peek. I love studying, if I stick my phone out, won't I be discovered? Forget it. I am studying, useless man. Watch me. After exchanging messages for a while, Zhang Panfan turned his head slightly to sneak a peek at the back seat. From his angle, he could only see Shen Yu sitting diagonally behind him. However, she had her head down, her long hair hanging loose over her shoulders, covering her entire face, so he couldn't see anything. But in a few seconds, he saw a pinky finger suddenly emerge from the waterfall of black hair and open a small gap in the hair. Through the small gap, he saw the camera of Shen Yu's phone pointing at Su Huizhou beside her. Zhang Panfan. This is way too wretched. She looks like a paparazzi. I am studying, damn it. Jojo is blocking him. I can't get a shot. I love studying, then just forget it. I am studying, picture. I am studying, do you see any problems? I love studying, is there a problem? You didn't capture anything exciting. I am studying, the distance. Look at the distance. I am studying, there's only so much space in the back seat, but there's still empty space between me and Jojo. The two of them are sticking together, aren't they? I love studying. As expected of you. I am studying, wait. There's something new. Then Zhang Panfan saw Shen Yu's gossiping head poke out and take a few more photos towards Su Hui's side. I am studying, picture. I am studying, look. At Zhou's lap. Zhang Panfan looked down at his phone and opened the picture. Since Su Huizhou was sitting down, her dress had risen to her knees, but this wasn't the main point. The main point was that there were two hands resting on Su Hui's thigh. The hand on top was small, fair, and delicate, while the hand pressed on the thigh by this small hand was noticeably larger and had a darker complexion. Clearly, this was junior brother's hand. I love studying, so there's really something going on. Does Sister Jo like junior brother? I am studying, I told you long ago. My gossip radar never fails. I am studying, but don't give ourselves away. We still have the entire day to observe them. Make sure to create more opportunities for them later. I love studying, got it, I'll listen to you, wifey. I am studying, good hubby, I love you. Just past 8 o'clock, Zhang Miao got out of the taxi. The moment he breathed in the fresh air, he felt alive again. Although the drive was only about 10 minutes, it felt like half a century had passed for him, but it also seemed to have ended in the blink of an eye. This complicated feeling. Zhang Miao looked down at his hand. The fragrance of senior sister's dress seemed to still linger on it. It was late September, and the weather was still quite hot. Her white spaghetti-strap dress was light and thin, with only a single delicate layer. So when Zhang Miao's hand was pressed on her dress, his palm could clearly feel the contours of her thigh in his palm, and he could even feel the blend of firmness and softness. And this was with the dress in the way. If he could reach inside. Va! 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 If not for the presence of the seniors nearby, Zhang Miao might have slapped himself in the face already. Senior sister was already making a big sacrifice by pretending to be his girlfriend. It was fine to hold hands, but touching her thigh through her dress was already pushing it. And yet here he was, thinking about pushing his luck. Reaching inside. How is that possible? Even if it's for material, it's impossible to go that far. It's absolutely impossible. Zhang Miao rubbed his temples, trying to calm himself down. What's wrong? Junior brother, did you get carsick? Su Huizhou asked with concern when she noticed his troubled expression. No. I just didn't sleep well. The four of them arrived at the subway station, followed the crowd inside, swiped the QR code, went underground, and got on the subway heading to Sky Street. Sky Street was one of the few large commercial streets in Hangzhou's Jianghan district. Because it was beside the college town, many college students came here to shop and go on dates on weekends. Thus, this section of the subway was especially crowded. Finding a seat was out of the question. Even finding a decent spot to stand was a challenge. Fortunately, they had two men in their group. After squeezing through the crowd, they found a spot near the handrails. Zhang Miao and Zhang Panfan each stood on a side, letting the two girls stand in the middle. Su Huizhou didn't forget her duties as a wingman and gave Shen Yu a gentle push, sending her right into Zhang Panfan's arms. Shen Yu let out a soft cry as she stumbled forward, and her hands landed on Zhang Panfan's chest. He instinctively wrapped an arm around her while tightening his grip on the handrail with his other hand to steady himself. After stabilizing himself, he realized what had happened. The next moment, he tensed up completely and didn't dare to move. Fortunately, although Shen Yu was socially anxious, she knew what to do in this situation. She silently rested her head against Zhang Panfan's chest, wrapped her arms around his waist, and then stopped moving. Zhang Panfan could only stare intently at the progress bar on the wall of the subway car to distract himself. Meanwhile, Su Huizhou's small hand had already sneaked into Zhang Miao's palm. "Senior sister, there are too many people here," he whispered. "They're all strangers. What are you afraid of?" Su Huizhou whispered back. "Shen Yu and Zhang Panfan aren't looking this way. It's perfectly safe." Then, with a mischievous grin, she hooked her index finger and scratched his palm a few times. "Zhang Miao. Senior sister, stop moving. It's fine if you do it too. I don't mind." Su Huizhou stood on her tiptoes and whispered into Zhang Miao's ear, "It's just for material. Don't overthink it." Just as he was about to respond, the subway suddenly accelerated. Su Huizhou, who was standing on her tiptoes, lost her balance and fell towards Zhang Miao. This time, he reacted quickly. After letting go of senior sister's hand, he placed one hand on her shoulder and the other on her waist to prevent her from falling. Su Huizhou instinctively placed her hand on his shoulder. The two of them were even closer now, and they could even feel each other's breaths. "Senior sister, are you okay? That scared me." Su Huizhou sighed with relief. After steadying herself, she smiled and said, "Thank you. Yuri, welcome." Zhang Miao retracted his hand but felt a little reluctant. Although there was the gauze shawl and dress between them, he still touched her after all. Senior sister's shoulders are so delicate and smooth. Her waist is so slender. I wonder what it would feel like to hold her in my arms. Zhang Miao pressed his lips together, trying to push these thoughts away. But the next moment, senior sister's small hand reached out again. It was cool to the touch, soft and elastic. Damn it! How can I not let my imagination run wild? Chapter 57, Holding hands there's only 0 times or countless times. Fortunately, the subway ride from the School of Business to Sky Street was only 4 stops. About 10 minutes later, the subway arrived. Zhang Miao walked out of the subway with a dazed expression, still reminiscing about the lingering warmth in his palm. Looking at senior sister's small hands from behind, he bit his lip, feeling slightly stirred. After stepping on the escalator, he glanced at Shen Yu and Zhang Panfan standing in front. Then he turned his head to look at the other side and silently reached out his hand to hold senior sister's hand. It's really soft. Her fingers are so slender. They feel smooth and delicate. Could holding hands be addictive? Su Huizhou showed no resistance and allowed him to hold and caress her hand. Her heart was racing just as much as Zhang Miao's. This is holding hands. She bit her lip, her heart thumping violently. She stared intently at Shen Yu's and Zhang Panfan's backs, afraid that they might suddenly turn around and see the scene. Holding hands with junior brother and keeping it a secret from her good friend was really exciting. It gave her an inexplicable sense of guilt. Senior sister, what are we doing this morning? Zhang Miao whispered in her ear while holding her hand gently. This time, Su Huizhou's ear was attacked by junior brother. Her ear felt ticklish, causing her to shiver slightly. First, we'll shop and then find a place to have lunch. After coming out of the subway station, the two of them separated again. Shen Yu and Zhang Panfan were still in front, with Su Huizhou and Zhang Miao following behind. The 4 of them walked into the shopping mall on Sky Street and strolled around leisurely. Girls seemed to have a natural talent for shopping. Even if there was nothing urgent they needed to buy, they could still find treasure hunting like fun in any store. The popular shops included but were not limited to cosmetics shops, clothing shops, bag shops, eyewear shops, shoe shops, snack shops, accessory shops, daily goods shops. In short, they were all places that Zhang Miao would never visit on his own. Or rather, if he were alone, he wouldn't have gone out at all. If he needed something, he would just buy it online. How could he be in the mood to go shopping? It was a waste of time and energy. But today was different. He was here to gather material. So while Zhang Miao was accompanying senior sister shopping, he fully implemented the spirit of actively gathering material. As long as they were in a spot where Shen Yu and Zhang Panfan couldn't see, Zhang Miao would take the initiative to hold senior sister's hand and silently silently gather material. He didn't know why. Before they went out, he had clearly been worried about this and that, afraid that the strange couple in front would discover him and senior sister. But after the incidents in the taxi and on the subway, he suddenly became bolder. Or perhaps it was the irresistible allure of senior sister's hand. It was so great that he could no longer control his rationality. Whenever Zhang Miao felt a pang of guilt, he would automatically use excuses such as "this is just for material, it's fine as long as we're not caught, senior sister agreed it," or "if I don't take the initiative, senior sister will sneakily hold my hand anyway." Therefore, from 8:30 to 11 am, Su Huizhou and Zhang Miao had been secretly gathering material. Su Huizhou felt that her hand had become warm. The two of them were like new lovers who had just tasted the fruit of romance. It was the first time they had held hands for such a long time and shopped. Their hearts were shy and excited, and they wished they could hold hands forever. There were a few times when Shen Yu and Zhang Panfan almost saw them because they were reluctant to let go. "Junior brother, I've let you gather material for so long today. You'd better not disappoint me," Su Huizhou said with a slight blush as she brushed a lock of hair behind her ear. Zhang Miao was still holding senior sister's hand, and his earlier excitement had calmed down, but his expression remained tense, and he was always paying attention to the movements in front. I'll definitely write a lot when I get back." "How much is a lot?" Su Huizhou asked with a playful smile, covering her mouth. "Ahem. I can't update too much during the new novel period. I have to wait for the recommendation," Zhang Miao explained with thick skin and then added, "Once it goes premium, I'll do a mass release. 10,000 words a day. 5,000 a day. Only 5,000. Su Huizhou curled her index finger against his palm and questioned him with a sidelong glance and a playful smile. "Senior sister, please have mercy on me." "Okay, I'm just teasing you." Su Huizhou, seeing that he was really in a difficult position, spared him for the time being. Quality comes first. It doesn't matter if it's just 3,000 words a day as long as it's a good read. "I agree." Zhang Miao nodded repeatedly. "But it would be even better if you could write 10,000 a day." When it was almost time for lunch, the four of them found a hot pot restaurant and sat down. Shen Yu and Zhang Panfan sat together, so Zhang Miao could only sit beside Su Huaizhou. As soon as they sat down and ordered, senior sister's hand crawled along the cushion of the booth towards Zhang Miao's hand. He turned his head and looked at her, only to see her pursing her lips and smiling at him. He glanced across the table. Judging by the height of the table, it seemed very safe. So, should I continue gathering material? Zhang Miao had yet to make up his mind, but his body was already moving dishonestly. By the time he returned to his senses, his hand was already holding senior sister's. Su Huaizhou acted as if nothing had happened and discussed what to order with Shen Yu and Zhang Panfan. But when she felt junior brother's warm, large hand wrapping tightly around her small hand, her heart fluttered uncontrollably. Ever since she had tricked him into holding hands on Tuesday, she had been constantly reminiscing about the feeling. Sometimes, she would subconsciously think about it and find herself holding her own hand, but it never brought the same heart-racing excitement. Was this the wonder of love? Even though it was just pretend. But at the very least, the feeling in her heart wasn't fake. If it were any other boy, Su Huaizhou would be repulsed at the thought of holding hands. But when it came to junior brother, she would feel some anticipation. If he refused, she would even feel slightly disappointed, as though she couldn't satisfy her desires. She clearly wanted to hold his hand, but she still had to deceive him in the name of gathering material. It made her feel like she was a bad woman. However, without the pretense of gathering material, it wouldn't have been this easy with him. Su Huaizhou sneaked a glance at junior brother from the corner of her eye. Seeing him pretending to be calm and serious, she immediately pursed her lips to stifle a giggle. But when he squeezed her fingers, she instinctively bit her lip. This feeling of wanting to resist yet wanting to cater to him was truly intoxicating and addicting. I am studying, picture. I am studying, look. They're holding hands again. I am studying, so they've been sneaking around all morning? I love studying, I wouldn't call it sneaking around. At most, it's just a secret relationship. I am studying, humph. I want to hold hands too. Hubby, be more proactive. I love studying. I love studying, I want to, but you know my situation, wifey. I am studying, aren't we out on a date to solve this problem? I love studying, I'm trying. I am studying, I'm trying too. I am studying, but it's also very important to peek at Jojo holding hands with junior brother. I am studying, do you think they'll secretly find a place to kiss? I love studying, They shouldn't go that far, right? Besides, we're still here. I am studying, then how about we create a chance for them to be alone later? I love studying, I'll listen to you and do whatever makes you happy, wifey. I am studying, great moi, hubby. After ordering, Zhang Miao, still holding senior sister's hand, looked at the silent couple across from him and fell into thought. Senior sister Shen Yu and senior Zhang Panfan are such a tricky pair. Along the way, have they exchanged more than 10 sentences? Judging from their progress, they were really inferior to him and senior sister, who were pretending to be a couple. Chapter 58, I'll help you try. It's just to gather material. The hot pot meal lasted until 1:30 p.m. Su Huaizhou and Zhang Miao ate slowly because they were reluctant to leave such a good place to hold hands. There was no need to worry about being caught, and they could hold hands whenever they wanted. Even if their faces turned red, they could just say they were hot from eating hot pot. Junior brother's hand was big, but not in a thick way. His fingers were long and powerful. And when he held her small hand, he fully displayed what control felt like. Being completely enveloped by his warm, strong hand gave her a deep sense of security. Unfortunately, Su Huaizhou was sitting on Zhang Miao's left and had to eat with her right hand. Every time she took a bite, she couldn't wait to place her hand on the booth again. But she couldn't appear too eager, so placing her hand on the booth was already her limit. The rest was waiting for Zhang Miao to reach over. Of course, Zhang Miao was more than happy to oblige, leaving his left hand waiting on the booth. Anyway, senior sister Shen Yu and senior Zhang Panfan, who were sitting across from them, couldn't see what was happening, so he could enjoy senior sister's soft and smooth hand without worry. No, this was for material. Senior sister had said that even if they were pretending, they should be mentally prepared to make it as real as possible. Only then would the effect of gathering material be the best. Zhang Miao fully embraced and implemented senior sister's spirit of gathering material. Everything was for the sake of writing better content for his novel. Surely, the fact that senior sister took the initiative to reach out her hand was to facilitate him gathering more material, right? For such a generous gesture, Zhang Miao could only write more exciting content to repay her. After lunch, the four of them rested in the hot pot restaurant until after 2 before continuing their shopping date. But this time, things were different from the morning. Senior sister, aren't we going with them? Zhang Miao asked as he followed Su Huaizhou out of the hot pot restaurant and found her walking in another direction. Nope. Shen Yu sent me a message, Su Huaizhou said with a smile. She said they wanted to try shopping alone and asked us to find something to do on our own. Oh. Zhang Miao's gaze immediately landed on senior sister's hand, and his heart stirred. Then, senior sister, the two of us. Of course we're going to continue gathering materials. Su Huaizhou tilted her head and smiled. She stretched out her hand towards Zhang Miao. I'm your girlfriend now, remember? Junior brother, be more proactive. He looked down at her hand. Her fair and radiant skin, slender and long fingers, and clean and polished nails evoked an instinctive desire to protect and cherish her. Zhang Miao reached out and gently held senior sister's hand in his palm. He turned his head to avoid her playful gaze and asked softly, Senior sister, where are we going now? Let's just stroll around. For gathering material, anywhere is fine, right? Su Huaizhou said as she took out her phone. Hold on a section. I'll ask Shen Yu where they're going so we can avoid them. Okay. It was better to be safe than sorry. Zhang Miao was still worried about being discovered. It didn't matter to him, but he didn't want to see senior sister bear the burden of untrue rumors. Moreover, once this matter was known, it would be difficult for them to explain. After all, a relationship between an author and a reader was pretty unusual. At least, this sort of thing was rare in reality. Not to mention, it was between a senior sister and a junior brother. Moreover, senior sister was actually willing to pretend to be his girlfriend to help him gather material for his novel. Even novels didn't dare to be written like this. Reality was indeed stranger than fiction. Okay. Su Huaizhou put away her phone. They're going to the arcade on the 4th floor. Let's go to the 2nd floor. Sounds good. Zhang Miao nodded and held senior sister's hand as they headed towards the escalator. As they stepped onto the escalator and the threat of being discovered was finally lifted, Zhang Miao felt the tension in his chest ease. Feeling the slow descent of the escalator, he looked down at the bustling crowd in the open hall below. Sky Street's commercial plaza was teeming with people, and he and senior sister were just another couple among them. He turned to look at senior sister. Her beautiful, flowing hair covered half of her exquisite profile, but he could still see her alluringly rosy lips and small, elegant nose. Feeling the real touch in his palm, Zhang Miao almost thought that he was really dating senior sister and strolling through the mall together. It was supposed to be just for material, but it felt exactly like the real thing. Here you go. They reached the 2nd floor and walked into a clothing store. Su Huaizhou grabbed a cowboy hat from a display stand and covered Zhang Miao's head. It goes well with your pants. Zhang Miao obediently became senior sister's mannequin. After the hat, she put sunglasses on him, instantly transforming him into a Western cowboy. Senior sister, is this what it's like to go on a date with a girl? Zhang Miao asked as he placed the hat and sunglasses back in their original places, still remembering that he was gathering material. I thought it was usually the girl trying on clothes and asking if she looked good or something like that. Would you really say it doesn't look good? Su Huaizhou picked up a sun hat and put it on her head. Does it look good? It looks good. See. Su Huaizhou spread her hands. Although it might sound a little narcissistic, I'm pretty confident in myself. Zhang Miao. Su Huaizhou returned to Zhang Miao's side and said with a smile, it's just like how I'd say you look handsome no matter what you wear. Zhang Miao, who was on a completely different level from senior sister, was speechless and was a little overwhelmed by the situation. After walking out of the store, Su Huaizhou held Zhang Miao's hand again. Looking at a few couples passing by, she suddenly turned her head and asked, shall we try gathering material in a different way? Hey! Zhang Miao was stunned for a moment, wondering what she meant by different way. But before he could figure it out, she had already let go of his hand and approached him again. She slipped her right arm under his left and gently linked them. Zhang Miao! Don't overthink it. Su Huaizhou let her long hair fall down to cover half of her rosy cheeks and forced herself to remain calm. I noticed many couples are like this, so I'll help you try. It's just to gather material. But, Zhang Miao felt the pressure coming from senior sister's closeness and was at a loss for words. He knew that senior sister was ample, but this was the first time he felt it so intensely at such close range. It's fine, right? Su Huizhou brushed her hair back, her tone a bit unnatural. You're writing a romance novel after all. You can't just write about holding hands. Yet, Zhang Miao nodded stiffly. Originally, he had thought holding hands was the limit for pretending to be a couple. After spending the entire morning adjusting to it, although his heart still raced when he held hands with senior sister, it no longer affected his thinking. But before he could get used to it, she introduced a new twist. Zhang Miao gulped and turned his head to sneak a glance at senior sister. Feeling the curves pressed against his side, he suddenly felt as if he were dreaming. If it were really a dream, he really didn't want to wake up. If senior sister wasn't my pretend girlfriend but really was. Zhang Miao shook his head vigorously and immediately threw this excessive thought to the back of his mind. Senior sister was putting in so much effort to help him get material. But he actually wanted to take advantage of the situation. Chapter 59, Gathering Material takes a step further. On the second floor of the Sky Street Commercial Plaza, around a corridor corner, Shen Yu hid behind the wall, peeking out with only her head visible, watching Su Huizhou and Zhang Miao walk hand in front of her. Zhang Panfen stood behind her, poking his head out above Shen Yu's, also watching the pair. The corridors of the commercial plaza were very complicated. They formed a rough square shape, but every side resembled the number 8. So after walking for a while, people would turn a corner. To keep tracking someone, people had to be ready to sprint and catch up at any time. Due to Shen Yu saying that they were going to the arcade, Su Huizhou and Zhang Miao let their guard down and didn't expect to be followed. On the other hand, the two tailors were quite nervous, afraid of being discovered by the two in front. At this moment, as soon as Su Huizhou and Zhang Miao walked out of the clothing store, Shen Yu eagerly patted Zhang Panfen. Keeping her eyes straight ahead, she whispered, "You take photos, and I'll record videos, okay?" This was Zhang Panfen's first time doing such a thing, and he was quite nervous. He said hesitantly, "Isn't this inappropriate?" "What's inappropriate about it?" Shen Yu recalled the days of being controlled by Su Huizhou. "You don't know how many embarrassing photos Jojo has secretly taken of us." Zhang Panfen. Look. Shen Yu didn't want to discuss this further. She kept her eyes on Su Huizhou and Zhang Miao and suddenly patted Zhang Panfen's thigh excitedly. "Jojo is so bold." She just linked arms with him. She took out her phone and began recording the ironclad evidence of Su Huizhou's secret rendezvous with Zhang Miao. "You too," Shen Yu urged. "Oh." Zhang Panfen quickly took out his phone and took photos of the backs of the two people. After finishing the recording, Shen Yu looked up at the photos Zhang Panfen had taken and was speechless. "What kind of photography skills are these? Let me do it." She extended her small hand, held Zhang Panfen's hand, and started taking photos of the two people in front. "See, this is how you properly take paparazzi photos," Shen Yu said proudly after taking a few pictures. But the next moment, she suddenly realized how close Zhang Panfen was to her. Zhang Panfen was entirely stiff. He looked at his hand, which Shen Yu's small hand was holding tightly, and his face flushed bright red. With a whoosh, the two of them separated. With their backs facing each other, they were in a daze. After thinking about it, they gradually realized something was off. Just now, it seemed, they had exchanged several sentences. Normally, being together made them so nervous that they'd stutter, so how did their conversation flow so smoothly earlier? For a moment, both of them were stunned. "I love studying, Wifey, are you okay?" Zhang Panfen picked up his phone and asked carefully. "I am studying, I'm fine. Just a bit flustered." With her back facing Zhang Panfen, Shen Yu blushed and became tangled in her thoughts, not understanding what had just happened. "I was actually so bold that I even dared to hold Zhang Panfen's hand. I love studying, was it because our attention was on Sister Zhou and Zhang Miao, so we didn't feel as scared?" "I am studying, that makes sense. I am studying, should we keep following them? Maybe it'll work like earlier." "I love studying, we can try again." With that, the two of them turned around to face each other again and then stuck their heads out around the corner once more. But when they looked again, there was no trace of Su Huizhou and Zhang Miao. "Oh no! Shen Yu and Zhang Panfan exchanged a dumbfounded glance. It seems we lost them. Junior brother, wear this. Su Huizhou took a headband from the rack and put it on Zhang Miao's head. What is this? They're dog ears. She adjusted it on him with a smile. Then she picked up a cat ear headband and put it on herself. Okay, let's take a photo together. Su Huizhou turned on her phone's selfie mode, tilted her head towards Zhang Miao, and aimed at their faces. On the camera, Zhang Miao looked straight ahead, his expression solemn, as he waited silently for senior sister to take the photo. Su Huizhou laughed when he saw his dazed expression. She let go of his hand, moved it to the right side of head, and gently lowered his head towards hers. You don't even know how to pose for a photo. You're so silly. Zhang Miao's mind was blank, and he only felt how pleasant her hand touching his head was. With his head tilted, it leaned against senior sister's head, bringing them even closer. He could even smell her scent. He couldn't quite describe what it was. But it smelled good. Soft, faint, and elusive. Yet it seemed naturally irresistible to him. It made him want to follow the length of her hair, inhale her scent down to her neck, bury his face in her exquisite collarbone, and continue down. But it was just a thought. After senior sister finished taking the photo, Zhang Miao straightened his head, but his eyes drifted to her phone, where the picture of the two of them appeared. One had cat ears, and the other had dog ears. It was adorably cute. They looked quite goofy together. How does it feel to take a photo with your girlfriend? Su Huizhou asked as she sent him the photo. I'm not sure. That won't do. Su Huizhou giggled. If an author can't even describe it, then won't all this material gathering be a waste? Alright. It's mainly because I can't say it out loud. He couldn't possibly admit that he wanted to learn closer and smell senior sister's fragrance, could he? He might as well die on the spot. No worries, I'll know once you write it in your novel, Su Huizhou said with a grin. Zhang Miao. I forgot about this. In that case, if he really wrote a similar scene in the future, should he freely describe it or not? His head hurt. They continued strolling around for a while longer. It was almost 4 in the afternoon before they knew it. The two of them had wandered through over a dozen stores, but they hadn't brought anything, too preoccupied with holding hands and taking pictures. So, senior sister, what do you think is the point of shopping? Zhang Miao glanced down at their linked arms, wondering if the whole point was just this. There's no special point. Su Huizhou held Zhang Miao's arm as they walked. This feeling of half leaning on a boy was oddly wonderful. It's just an excuse to spend time with someone you like. If you just want to be together, there's no need to go shopping. That's different. Su Huizhou tilted her head in thought. When you're out shopping, you can show off your love to others. Zhang Miao. Hehe, I'm just kidding. Su Huizhou giggled. When she giggled, her body shook. If they were only holding hands, it wouldn't have been an issue. But right now, senior sister was still tightly linking arms with Zhang Miao. The waves were naturally transmitted to him. Let's go. It's about time. Su Huizhou looked at the time on her phone. We should go find Shen Yu and Zhang Panfan and have dinner. Chapter 60, I'm just helping you get experience, not really jealous. There wasn't much to say about dinner. It was about the same as lunch. However, Zhang Miao couldn't shake off a creeping feeling of unease. He didn't know if it was his imagination, but he felt that senior sister Shen Yu and senior Zhang Panfan were observing him. While grilling meat, Shen Yu would occasionally glance at Zhang Miao when she used a pair of tongs to flip the meat on the grill over. It was as though she was trying to confirm something. Could they have found out I held hands with senior sister? Zhang Miao's heart skipped a beat. He even reduced the number of times he secretly held senior sister's hand under the table. On the other hand, Su Huizhou didn't notice anything unusual. Her attention was entirely on Zhang Miao. Seeing that he was unwilling to hold her hand again, she felt a little ashamed and annoyed. She bit a piece of grilled meat hard with her small mouth, and her right hand, now free from her chopsticks, reached out to grab his hand. At the same time, Shen Yu, across from them, sneaked another glance at Zhang Miao. So exciting! Zhang Miao only felt his eyelids twitching, feeling as though he had been caught having an affair. I am studying, I don't feel anything. I still don't dare to hold hands. I love studying, I think we're being too deliberate. We're trying too hard to distract ourselves by peeping at them holding hands, but it's instead making us focus on it even more. I am studying, so what should we do? I love studying, it's best to forget the goal of holding hands for now and put all our gossiping thoughts on Sister Zhou and Zhang Miao. I am studying, well. I have a little idea. I love studying, what's your idea, wifey? I am studying, just watch me. After dinner, it was already 6 in the evening. The four of them tidied up their belongings and went to the theatre on the 6th floor to pick up their tickets. Buying the tickets had been Shen Yu's responsibility. She had already reserved them in advance and handed over 2 tickets for Su Huizhou and Zhang Miao. Zhang Miao took a ticket, looked down, and saw the shining words couple seats in the middle of the ticket. Zhang Miao was stunned. Su Huizhou obviously noticed it and immediately took out her phone to ask on WeChat. Although she was also quite interested in sitting in couple seats with Zhang Miao, it was a bit strange that Shen Yu gave them these tickets. Jojo loves kanji, what's going on? Why are junior brother and I also sitting in couple seats? I am studying, they're cheaper. Jojo loves kanji, aren't couple seats more expensive? I am learning, Island Keeper is premiering today, but there's no one else watching this showing except us. I am studying, I checked during dinner, and the couple seats were on sale, so I refunded the tickets and bought new ones. Jojo loves kanji, but Zhang Miao and I aren't a couple. I am studying, it doesn't matter. Anyway, no one will know. Since we can save money, why not? Jojo loves kanji, fine. But don't do it again. Su Huizhou reluctantly forgave Shen Yu and quietly explained the situation to Zhang Miao. This actually works out well. It can give you some material. Su Huizhou covered her mouth and smiled. But it seems a little late. You already wrote about couple seats in the first chapter. At this point, Su Huizhou paused and asked doubtfully, Junior brother, when I read your first chapter, I saw you seem to know a lot about couple seats. You haven't gone with a girl before, have you? Hearing her doubts, Zhang Miao looked a bit unwilling to say anything. Senior sister, let's not mention that, okay? So, is there really something? Su Huizhou playfully reached out to Zhang Miao's waist and pinched him gently, her tone carrying a hint of jealousy. What could there possibly be? Zhang Miao sighed helplessly. After hesitating for a moment, he whispered, before I started writing the book, I checked out couple seats in person. Checked out? Su Huizhou was stunned. With who? Zhang Miao was silent for a moment. Myself. Pfft, Su Huizhou couldn't hold back. She covered her mouth and giggled. Don't laugh. Zhang Miao was a bit annoyed. You made me say it. You can't blame me. I'm helping you gather material, Su Huizhou said righteously. I was just helping you experience what it feels like when your girlfriend is jealous. How is it? Did it feel real? Wasn't my acting great? Zhang Miao forced a smile. He wasn't sure about senior sister's acting, but he knew that his dignity was gone. Going to the movies alone was already lonely enough. And what was even lonelier was watching a movie in couple seats, by yourself. But the loneliest part? While sitting alone in the couple seats, Zhang Miao had to imagine a non-existent girlfriend as much as possible to simulate how the scene would unfold. Although the first 2 chapters of his novel only had a mere 5,000 words, his sacrifice was immense. Alright, I'll stop teasing you. Su Huizhou looked at Shen Yu and Zhang Panfan buying drinks and popcorn at the counter. She stood on her tiptoes and gently patted Zhang Miao on the head to comfort him. Seeing how pitiful you are, senior sister will sit with you in couple seats today. Senior sister, I'm not a child. Haha, but just imagining you sitting alone in couple seats for material, it's so cute. Can we stop talking about this, please? Got it. Su Huizhou giggled. Seeing that the 2 people in front finished buying, she reined in her expression and turned to ask, Junior brother, what do you want to drink? Anything's fine. Then we'll have a couples combo, please, Su Huizhou said to the cashier. The moment the word couple came out, Zhang Miao's heart skipped a beat, and a strange emotion welled up in his heart. Although it was only the name of the combo, this was the first time senior sister had announced their relationship in front of others. Even though it was just pretend, his heart was still racing, and his palms grew sweaty. Zhang Miao took the cola and popcorn from Su Huizhou and followed her to the ticket checkpoint. After getting their tickets checked, they walked into Theatre 5. There was still 10 minutes before 6:30 showtime, and apart from the 4 of them and the staff, the theatre was empty. Senior sister, is no one watching this movie? Zhang Miao asked curiously as he looked down at the movie ticket for Island Keeper. It's the premiere. There's no publicity and no celebrities. What do you think? Oh. Zhang Miao nodded. Guess there's something to look forward to then. Su Huizhou covered her mouth and giggled. Seems so. The couple seats in Theatre 5 were in the last 2 rows, with each row having 4 sets of couple seats. The couple seats they bought were for the last row. Shen Yu and Zhang Panfan took the innermost seats, while Su Huizhou and Zhang Miao were by the aisle, with 2 sets of empty couple seats between them. Since the couple seats had tall sides, once they sat down, neither pair could see the other. It was very private. Zhang Miao looked at the arrangement of the couple seats and then at senior sister beside him, whose exquisite features glowed softly under the warm light. Before he even sat down, his heart was already rippling with excitement. Before the movie started, Zhang Miao was already feeling nervous. It's my first time sitting in couple seats with a girl. Anything I need to pay attention to? Waiting online, urgent.